This past week, Southeast Asia has faced one of its deadliest climate disasters in recent memory. More than 1,200 people have died. Thousands are still missing, and entire communities across Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and Thailand remain underwater. But in Indonesia, especially in Sumatra, the devastation has been far worse than anywhere else. So what made this disaster so catastrophic? And why are environmentalists blaming not just the storms, but the government, big companies, and decades of deforestation? Let's break it down. Two cyclones, one rare interaction. Meteorologists say this disaster began with Cyclone Senyar and Cyclone-driven, which spun simultaneously in the region. Their interaction over the Malacca Strait, a narrow stretch of sea between Indonesia and Malaysia, created an unusual atmospheric setup. These cyclones weren't extremely powerful in terms of wind speeds, but they were loaded with massive moisture, releasing relentless rain over 3 countries for days. Scientists say wind speeds were relatively moderate, around 60 to 80 kilometers an hour. But rainfall levels were extremely high, enough to overflow major river systems. The rare cyclone pairing near the equator intensified the downpour. This is why we saw flash floods, landslides, and entire towns swept away. Indonesia, 659 plus deaths reported. Over 1.2 million people displaced, more than 500 still missing. Worst destruction in North Sumatra, West Sumatra, and Aceh. Entire villages have been cut off due to collapsed bridges and roads. Rescue teams are depending on helicopters and boats to reach stranded communities. Sri Lanka, 410 deaths. Hundreds more missing. Several districts facing drinking water shortages. Widespread landslides around hill country regions like Kandy. Thailand, 181 deaths. Floods affecting over 1.5 million households. Government preparing relief camps and emergency food distribution. This is one of the region's deadliest multi-country disasters in recent years. Because this wasn't just weather, it was a human-made tragedy. Environmental experts in Indonesia say the severity of the disaster has been man-made, especially in Sumatra. Yes, the extreme rainfall triggered the floods, but deforestation, mining, and land clearing magnified the destruction. Here's how. Massive loss of forest cover in Sumatra. Over the last 20 years, hundreds of thousands of hectares of forests in North Sumatra, West Sumatra, and Aceh were cleared. Licenses were issued to 631 companies for palm oil plantations, logging, mining, hydropower and energy projects. Forests that once absorbed rainwater, stabilized hillsides, and buffered rivers have been stripped away. When the heavy rains came, there was nothing left to hold the soil. The floodwaters carried thousands of logs. One of the most shocking visuals from Sumatra. Huge piles of logs smashed into homes, bridges, and shelters. Authorities say the logs could have come from old logging sites, incomplete land clearing, legal plantations, illegal logging operations. 8 companies are now under investigation for worsening the disaster through their activities around the Batang Toru River Basin, one of Sumatra's most vulnerable ecosystems. The Environment Ministry has said existing approvals may be revoked if misconduct is proven. Mining projects on earthquake fault lines. Experts warn that Sumatra is one of the world's most seismically active regions. Yet large-scale projects, including geothermal plants, have been built directly over fault lines. In the Batang Toru region, activists say this has destabilized the area, making landslides far more dangerous. Destruction of natural barriers. Environmental groups say Sumatra's ecological buffers have been stripped away. Mangroves in coastal regions. Dense rainforest canopies. The Bukit Barisan mountain ecosystem, once 90% forest, now rapidly shrinking. Mangroves are especially crucial. They protect inland areas from storm surges. Without them, floodwaters surge directly into villages. This ecological breakdown explains why Indonesia saw the worst casualties. A professor of forest policy summarized it simply. This disaster is the result of extreme weather, mountainous geography, and environmental degradation caused by human activities. Residents echo the same frustration. A survivor from North Sumatra said floods worsened after nearby palm oil plantations took over forest land. The heavy rainwater could no longer be contained by the forest. We are the ones paying the price. Another environmental group pointed out that much of the wood cut in Sumatra ends up exported as pulp and paper, palm oil, timber products. Locals lose their land and safety, while profits leave the island. Indonesia's government has acknowledged deforestation's role and promised action. The president said protecting forests is crucial and suggested strengthening environmental education in schools. However, environmental advocates accuse the government of political hypocrisy because at the same time, new mining projects are being approved. Palm oil expansion continues. Mega energy projects are being pushed through upstream river basins. Critics say these policies worsen floods, displace communities, and destroy natural buffers. Last year, the president even defended palm oil expansion, saying, "Palm oil is a tree, don't be scared of it." For activists, that comment symbolizes a deeper problem. Short-term economic gain is taking priority over long-term environmental safety. Why were the cyclones so moisture-heavy? Climate scientists say warming ocean temperatures are making storms rainier, slower moving, more destructive. Even moderate-strength storms now carry far more water than before. This means that without strong forest cover, the disasters will get worse in the coming years. Environmental groups, climate scientists, and community leaders are calling for a full audit of land use permits in Sumatra to uncover which companies contributed to the destruction, stronger enforcement against illegal and destructive logging, restoration of mangroves and forest buffer zones, stricter controls on mining and hydropower projects in landslide-prone areas, climate-resilient infrastructure, and early warning systems. Natural disasters may be unavoidable, but human-made amplification can be prevented. The floods across Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and Thailand were triggered by unusual cyclones. But in Indonesia's case, decades of unchecked environmental damage made the disaster far deadlier than it had to be. This tragedy is a stark reminder that climate change and environmental destruction don't just threaten the planet. They threaten people's lives, homes, and futures. If Southeast Asia doesn't strengthen environmental protections now, experts warn these violent floods may become the new normal.